Hello, I just want to recommend this book. I'm going to read a little excerpt of it. I bought it at the Womerg Festival. It's called Last Shop Standing, and it's a really good book about different record shops that this gentleman has visited up and down the country. So I'll just read you a little bit of one of the stories. So you'll probably be able to find this in your local record shop if you want to buy it. So I'll just read you a little bit, and then hopefully you'll go out and buy it and help a good cause. Thank you very much. Keep listening. Right, this is about a record shop in Wales. The chap's visiting. It's called Graham Jones, the person who wrote it, by the way. It says, my next call is to one of my favourite towns in the UK, Tenby, in Pembrokeshire. For more than 50 years, Dale's Music Store has been selling to locals and holidaymakers in the lovely West Wales seaside town. The store opened as a piano retailer and was run by current owner Laurie Dale's father. As a teenager, Laurie was always spending his pocket money on 78s, so he persuaded his father to start stocking them in the shop to complement the piano sales. No doubt his record selection had soon expanded. Laurie and his shop manager Richie Westmacott are real characters and are well known to locals. Laurie is a singer and actor, while Richie, guitarist in one of Wales' premier blues bands, Elephant Gerald. The band has quite a following and has played with Dr. Feelgood and Albert Lee amongst others. In fact, Richie always looks as if he is about to go on stage, as you never see him without his beloved bandana on his head. Richie started his music career in the record department of his local W.H. Smith. It was not really the job he'd hoped for, as at that time W.H. Smith had the policy of silence in the record department, not wishing to disturb the customers browsing through the book department. The resultant atmosphere was more akin to a library, and Richie found it incredibly frustrating, as all he wanted to do was to blast out the current AC/DC album. Meanwhile, however, Laurie had an unfortunate accident which rendered him unable to manage his shop for a long period, so he approached Richie and asked him to run Dale's in his absence. Richie was delighted, and 25 years later he's still there blasting out AC/DC. A visit to the store is a must for anybody going to Tenby. Laurie and Richie are like a double act, bouncing banter off each other, and their sheer enthusiasm for music creates a really happy atmosphere. When I sell a new blues album to Richie by an artist he likes, he reacts like I've just told him he has won the lottery. In the summer, Laurie can often be found sitting on a stool outside the store, engaging holidaymakers in conversation and encouraging them to browse through the treasure trove of the store. The decor is old-fashioned, the racks are jammed with too much stock, but this just adds to the shop's character. They keep a wide selection of LPs, CDs, DVDs, musical instruments, t-shirts, music memorabilia, belts, and they have the biggest selection of button badges I've ever seen. Dale's is one of the last shops I visit that still sells quantities of videos and cassettes. There are thousands of them displayed above head height and all the way up to the ceiling. They are stored so high that it is impossible to see individual titles at floor level, which results in Richie and his customers constantly climbing a stepladder to identify them. One day they all came crashing down after a Volkswagen whose owner had left the handbrake off, ploughed into the shop window. Luckily no customers were hurt, but the sight of Laurie buried under hundreds of DVDs and cassettes is something Richie will never forget. Today's CDs only account for 25% of sales, with musical instruments now responsible for a major portion of Dale's turnover. Richie will ruefully never forget the man who asked if they stocked Yamaha keyboards. Richie good-naturedly informed him that they didn't stock Yamaha, but they did have Yamaha keyboards. Can I have a look at them, please? The man replied, to Richie's embarrassment, and the man had a stutter. Another embarrassing keyboard tale occurred the day a woman called in and asked Richie if she could help lay her hands on an organ, to which he burst out laughing. One day a well-spoken lady called into the shop asking if he had any Jaws CDs. Richie replied that if that he did have one, at which a look of disappointment spread across her face. Eager to please, Richie bound over the racks and found the original soundtrack to Jaws. As he got back to the counter, the lady mocked the shop's selection, commenting that the shop had a low standard, stocking only one Jaws CD. Richie explained that it wasn't in great demand. Then he handed her a CD. The lady asked what it was, and Richie explained it was a Jaws soundtrack by John Williams. The lady burst out laughing, claiming that it wasn't Jaws she was after, but Jaws, that is J-A-W-Z-Z. It turned out she was just a jazz music fan with an incredibly posh accent, and was after something by Duke Ellington. Laurie takes great pride in having many customers who first visited the store as teenagers in the 60s and are now grandparents who call into the shop with their children and grandchildren. It is quite satisfying to see 3 generations of Dale's customers all in the shop at the same time. The shop has an interesting music policy. 6 days a week they play Richie's Choice, which tends to be rock and blues, while Sunday is easy listening day, and there is much more relaxed feel to the store as Laurie plays his favourite crooners. Dale's really hasn't changed much over the years, and whilst holidaymakers still flock to Tenby, they will be there for a long time to come. Anyway, that's the end of that segment of the book. I hope you've enjoyed it, and so probably look in your local record stores to try and buy it and everything. Last Shot Standing by Graham Jones, and so I hope you've enjoyed listening to this, even though I didn't read it perfectly. All the best. Bye.